Hi, everyone. My name is Dr. Susanna Flores. I am a life coach, a clinical psychologist, and author. And in today's video, I'd like to talk about how to become one with your badassery. So, badassery is a term that I adopted a couple years ago during a time when I was really down in the dumps, literally feeling like in the gutter. And I, experienced profound sadness and, took all of the emotional hit that came from a traumatic experience and had to fight my way back. And in that process, when I allowed myself to experience some of the feels, some of the negative emotions, including anger, and was able to express the anger and release it, I once again became one with my badassery. And so what does that mean? Badassery means that that you become one with your essence of who you were meant to be. So for example, if you've ever noticed little kids at a pool or a playground, like they're doing somersaults off a diving board. They are the gods and goddesses of their universe. The word impossible does not apply to them because they don't even know what that is. It's only after difficult life experiences, trauma, abuse, that we begin to adopt this notion of fear, self-doubt, and self-limiting beliefs. So it's going back to that childhood essence of power. Now, life, emotional hits lead to depression, anxiety, fear, anger, confusion, and mostly a loss of the self. And sometimes we have to just, when we go through this, yes, we have to take time to heal. I once heard this metaphor where, like when animals get injured, or pets get injured, they'll go to a corner and they'll lick their wounds, and they don't return to the world until they have healed. I think this is very wise advice for us, because sometimes we do need to take the time to heal before we can return to life, to return to ourselves. And, taking the time to heal is an act of courage, because we would have to, face the difficult emotions that we don't want to face. But when we do, we often come out of that experience much stronger, much wiser, and much more powerful. When we avoid, facing these things, then fear and doubt become stronger, and that leads to self-limiting beliefs, which ultimately will change our behavior. These things will keep us stuck, and will just basically keep us scared and isolated, and that's not who you were meant to be. Ultimately, you follow this route, you're going to regret the chances that you'd never taken. What else can lead to this is the opinions of other people. Boy, this is one of my favorite topics, because everybody has an opinion, right? And everybody knows the right way of doing things. They tell you, you must be reasonable. I hate that word. You must be reasonable. The other word I hate is impossible, because I don't believe, I think impossible is a mindset, but let's go back to reasonable. You must be reasonable about your goals. Like you can't be an astronaut, you can't be a doctor, you can't be, because, you are not that smart, or you don't belong to this club, or that's only for those other individuals, and you seem to struggle. So, when you hear messages like that, what it essentially is people hear your goal and they know that they can't achieve it, so they're trying to make you believe that you can't achieve it. It means be reasonable to my beliefs, to my way of thinking, to the decisions that I have chosen. And you know what? Forget that noise. Forget that, because opinions, just like anything else, will wax and wane. And if you place your value on the opinions of other people, man, I got to tell you, you are setting yourself up for a world of pain. A world of pain, because, just as opinions can be formed about, towards negative behavior, they can be formed towards positive behavior. What do I mean by this? Okay, so let's say, I'm walking down the street and I drop something, and someone runs after me and they pick it up, and, they're chasing me and they pick it up. And then I turn around and I'm like, wow, this person's really nice. And so you see, like what I just did there, I formed an assessment of a total stranger based on something that they did for me, when in fact this stranger could be an awful person. I don't know them. In the same way, People form opinions, negative opinions, based on their own experiences and their own projections of who they think you are. And so, ultimately, like if you follow this route, you're going to remain stuck. What ultimately changes behavior is that you either get tired enough or sick enough, or hurt enough, or all three of something. And that is kind of like the aha moment. We metaphorically walk around with this little like light bulb around us, right? And that's the moment where the light bulb goes bzzzt. I've had it. And some people refer to this as the lose it moment. And I'm a fan. I got to be honest. I'm a fan of lose it moments because sometimes they can provide an incredible sense of clarity. An incredible sense of clarity. Like, it's not me. It's my family. Like, y'all are crazy. All of you. Every last one of you. Right? And I am not going to partake of this anymore. Or, telling your friends, like, look, you don't believe that this is possible for me, but I'm going to do it anyway, And if you can't support me, then you're going to zig while I zag, right? Because we're in two different mindsets, and I cannot have negative energy around me. When I set out to write my first book, I did not know how to write a book. I had to get basic. And when I say basic, I mean basic. Like I went to the bookstore and embarrassingly enough, bought a book on how to write a nonfiction book proposal. Basic, right? And everyone was telling me like, oh, it's so hard, to write a book. Oh, you're not a writer. You've never taken writing classes. And, then next was like, I'll never find an agent. Never find an agent, right? Or you'll never find a publisher. As it turns out, I learned, I was determined, like, I'm going to learn how to write a book. And in terms of, seeking an agent, I just decided to send out queries, like, let's just see what happens. And then in terms of publisher, I just had to release that control. Like, if they accept me, they accept me. If they don't, they don't. And what may happen, may happen. And that is like a matter of like embracing the badassery, embracing the confidence, embracing who you were really meant to be, putting it out into the world, and then releasing it. And then you just release it, right? Because the only thing that we can really control are our thoughts, our emotions, and our decisions. And whatever may happen because, life is about disappointment too. Life will give you hit after hit. And, as the saying goes, it doesn't matter, like how many times you get knocked down, it's how many times you can get back up. And so the individuals that are very powerful or very successful or, game changers, the movers and shakers of the world, these are the individuals that at one point, they didn't know what the hell they were doing anyway, either. They didn't know. They just said like, well, I'm going to figure it out. I have this interest. I'm just going to stick with it until I figure it out. And then I'm going to put it out there. And if people call me crazy, they call me crazy because, even with good ideas, people that have good ideas, they get called crazy too. I think it's almost a badge of honor. If you're crazy, that means that you are not part of the herd. That means that you have independent thought. That means that you are your own person, which ultimately is the place that you want to be. You don't want to be like everybody else. You want to have crazy ideas. You want, the herd to say that's bad. You just, I don't know. I think that there's just something glorious about being the black sheep, about being the underdog, because, at that point, the only place you have to go is up, right? And, if you fail at something, don't think of it as a rejection. Think of it as a disappointment. And so this one was a disappointment, and I'm going to try again and again and again, because the individuals who are successful, they have coped with a lot of rejection. They have coped with a lot of criticism. They have coped with a lot of the, be reasonable statements. They've coped with all of that noise, and they did it anyway. And so, this is what I wanted to express in this video is that, I want you to get tired enough. I want you, hopefully not get hurt enough, but I want you to get tired enough of hearing these negative messages, or, better put, giving into these negative messages that are not yours. Even the self-talk that you tell yourself, like, I can't do this. I'm not thin enough. I'm not pretty enough. I am not intelligent enough. I am not capable enough. That's not you. That's not like the little gods and goddesses that we were meant to be. Okay, these are systematic messages that you've received throughout your whole life by people that can't do what you can do. That's what this is. Okay, so what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to write down a list of all your negative beliefs. So like, I cannot do X, Y, and Z. I don't feel smart enough to do this. I feel limited in terms of this. Like everyone tells me that, I am incapable of whatever. Okay. Then I want you to grab another list, and this is your empowerment list. It'll go something like this. I want you to like think big, think Christmas. Okay. Become one with your grandiosity. Start off with like, I am a badass. I will live by a higher standard. I am in control of my life. I am worthy of love. I am worthy of respect. I can heal from any disappointment. I can heal from any hit. I hold the reins to my life. And, I will be one with my authentic self, no matter what. And I will repeat again, I will be one with my badassery. And once you adopt these beliefs and say them to yourself over and over and over, they are supposed to be the direct opposite of the negative beliefs. Say this again and again until they become ingrained, until you reparent yourself. And what I mean by that is like you're telling yourself all the positive messages that some of us did not receive as children in order to reprogram our mind to believe this. And once you really ingrain these beliefs, you're unstoppable. You're unstoppable. You literally can do almost anything because you believe them so profoundly. Like you're going to just go for it. If you need to leave a toxic relationship, you're going to leave a toxic relationship. If you need to cope with some rejection, you're going to be like, well, you know what? There's always the next guy or the next girl, and I will fall in love again. If somehow you get let go, or for some reason you get let go from your job, I'm like, see it as a silver lining. I didn't like this position anyway for this and this and this reason, and I'm capable of more. And so the purpose that I can place to this is, I was meant for more. Sometimes I have an issue when people say like, well, there's meaning or there's a reason, right? There's a reason for this tragedy. Here's the reason why I have a difficulty with that term, because sometimes things don't make sense, and sometimes we can't form, like we can't really wrap our heads around what the reason is. But we can form purpose. We can form a meaning from it. We can decide what lesson we can learn, possibly learn, and assess who we were, who we are now after this experience, and gain strength from it. See what I mean? This is the beginning of the work. Reprogram, ignore the opinions of other people, repeat to yourself like positive beliefs that are counter to your negative beliefs. Think like a child in the sense of, the world is my oyster and there are no limitations. Get rid of the word, please, get rid of the word impossible. Get rid of the, be reasonable. I want you to be one with your badassery. So hope this resonates with you. And if it does, please give me a like or subscribe, and I'll be talking to you again soon. Thanks.